baby. Oh.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to How to Make a Personal Calendar According to the Rules of Information Design. This is our first and last episode. We are a limited edition, so get it while it's hot. I am your host, Sky LaRoche, and let's get right into it. I know a lot of people out there are into making their own organizational tools. I know StudyBlur and StudyGram were big things for a while there, and a lot of people are still really into bullet journaling and things like that. So let's make a little personal calendar. And I think, a personal calendar really says a lot about your life. It's an extension of how you organize your life, and taking the time to design it with care can be a good exercise in just being aware of your life through the act of creating the calendar. And I hope while you do this, you learn a little bit about information design along the way. So as a brief introduction to information design, or just as a definition, really, it's about organizing and displaying data effectively. In this case, the data is your calendar and your week. So we're going to be discussing like a week style calendar, but there's definitely stuff in here that applies to other types of calendars as well. But the basic form of any calendar is going to be a big grid. And for us, that means days in the columns and hours in the rows. And you're going to want to organize it with time going from left to right and top to bottom. So days going from left to right and hours going from top to bottom. And that's just how we read information in the Western world. And, Apple organizes their calendars that way. Google organizes their calendars that way. And they put a lot of time and resources into making those readable and easy to use. So let's just take some pointers from them. But once you have that big grid, there are some things that you can do. You really want to stay away from like a bunch of really pronounced dark grid lines. So my suggestion would be to use a light grid line, about every half an hour or every hour. And then on top of that, use an alternating color for each of your hours. So for instance, like 1 p.m. could be like a light gray, while 2 p.m. is like a white, and that alternates all the way down. And that's something that you can see like if you go to an airport and you look at those big departure and arrival screens, those will have that sort of pattern, and it just makes it easier to read. And don't forget to label your axes. We are back in algebra class. Just make sure to label your hours and your days. Yeah. And also, make sure to label your events with a title, a start, and an end time. Those are the minimum things that you're going to want to know about each of your events. I mean, the main organization that you're going to be doing is by time. There are some other options for ways that you can organize your events once you have them. And we'll be discussing the latch method. So if you want to learn more about that, just give it a little Google. But for instance, you could color code the pieces of your calendar by like location. So like, yellow for school, purple for home, that sort of thing. By category of tasks. So like appointments versus, homework. And I haven't seen this been done yet, but I think it could be really interesting and helpful is to organize them by order of importance. So like for instance, like a daily chore is maybe like a pink, like a lighter pink, while a big important meeting is like a bright red, to make sure you don't forget it. and color's an important thing to consider when you're making this. There's a lot of research into color psychology that you can draw from, but my main thing is just to make sure there's enough color contrast so that you can read what you're writing. That is the most important thing. I see a lot of like bullet journals where they use this really light pink for the titles, and it's just hard to read. So yeah, make sure you've got color contrast. And as you're creating your calendar, it might seem like you're just writing things down that you're planning to do, but there's really an opportunity there to construct a narrative about your life. So with the question, what is your week like? You can answer that with your calendar. And there are things that you can change to change how you feel about your life. So I have some tips for this. One thing you could do, like if you really want to value your free time, something you could do is actually just like completely black it out on your calendar. Like make sure that you can't write things in there, and that'll make you feel like it is actually free time. Or something else you can do. This is a tip I actually learned from some YouTubers. Is just to change the name of your events. So for instance, you could change like do chore can be replaced with help my roommates keep a clean house, and that'll change the narrative of your life and change how you feel about each event. And something else that I really recommend is to highlight your favorite activities of the week. I think we live in a time where there's a lot of instant gratification in a lot of places, and just highlighting something to look forward to and that makes you feel good is just a good practice. And I think it helps me like feel excited about moving forward with my week and just life in general. So yeah, those are all my tips. I hope you found this useful. I really hope you make your own personal calendar, and use some of this information. And I will see you never.